I never wanted to be the person who ruins someone's career. But maybe that's just what happens when the truth finally runs out of places to hide. When I was 16, our school hired a new chemistry teacher, Mr. Alden. Everyone liked him from day one. He was 30-something, tall, quiet, the kind of teacher who never yelled. The girls called him movie teacher cute, and the guys liked that he didn't hand out detention for everything. I liked that he treated us like people instead of problems. I was a scholarship student at St. Emory's. It was a good school, uniforms, strict rules, kids with last names that showed up on plaques. I always felt like I'd snuck in through the back door. My mom worked 2 jobs, my dad was gone. I kept my head down, worked hard, tried not to give anyone a reason to remember I didn't belong. Mr. Alden noticed me anyway. The first time he did, it wasn't creepy or anything. We had a group lab, and the others were joking around, spilling chemicals, not writing anything down. He came over, looked at my notes, and said, "You're the only one actually balancing the equations." I laughed awkward, and he smiled. It was a nice smile, tired kind. After class, he asked if I'd thought about studying science in college. I told him I didn't think I could afford it. He said, "Scholarships exist for people exactly like you, you know." From then on, he'd nod at me in the hallways. Sometimes he'd ask how my mom was, if she was still working nights. I didn't tell him much, but it felt good that someone even remembered. Halfway through the year, I started staying after school to work on my project for the regional science fair. The lab was quiet in the afternoons. He'd be there, grading papers or setting up experiments. Sometimes we talked, sometimes not. He gave me tips, lent me old textbooks. Once, when I dropped my bag and everything spilled, he knelt down to help me pick things up. His hand brushed mine, and I remember thinking I should move, but I didn't. Neither did he. He didn't say anything weird. No comments, no touching beyond that. But little things started to add up, lingering too close, asking personal questions, remembering the small stuff most teachers forget. I told myself he was just kind. One Friday, he offered to drive me home. It was raining hard, buses delayed, and he said it wasn't safe to wait. I said yes. He asked about my project the whole ride, nothing else. But when we pulled up, he noticed how small our apartment building was. "You really work for everything you get," he said softly. I shrugged, said goodnight, ran inside. The next week, someone slipped a note into my locker. He's done this before. No name, no explanation. I showed it to Kelsey, my best friend. She said it was probably one of the jealous girls. "You're his favorite." They hate that. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Then came the field trip. The science department was taking us to a university lab. We were supposed to leave at 7. Mr. Alden was driving one of the vans. When everyone piled in, there weren't enough seats. He said, "You can sit up front with me, Evelyn." Halfway there, he told me about his wife. Or ex-wife. He said she left because she couldn't handle how much he cared about his students. He laughed, but it sounded forced. That night, I dreamed about him. Not romantic exactly, but intense. Like my brain had started writing a story I hadn't agreed to be part of. After that, I couldn't tell where respect ended and fear began. When I made it to the regional fair, he drove out to see me present. I won second place. He hugged me in front of everyone, and someone took a photo. My mom framed it. It sat on the shelf for years. Then senior year, everything fell apart. A new girl transferred in, Maya. She was funny, confident, the kind of person who made everyone listen without trying. Within a month, she was spending time in the lab after school, too. I didn't think much of it until one afternoon I came back for my notebook and saw them through the window. He was standing too close again, smiling the way he used to with me. That night she texted me, "Does he text you too?" My stomach dropped. She sent screenshots, compliments, late-night messages about how special she was, how mature. I stared at the screen for so long my eyes burned. It was him. Same tone, same little dashes he always used when he typed. I told her to tell someone. She said she was scared no one would believe her. I said I will. I went to the guidance counselor the next morning. Her smile froze when I showed her the messages. She said, "Are you sure these aren't jokes?" I said, "Does this look like a joke?" They called Meyer in. They called me in. Then they called him. He denied everything. Said the screenshots were edited. Said I'd always been overly attached. The counselor's eyes changed when he said that, like she believed him. By the end of the week, rumors were everywhere. People said I'd been jealous, that I'd made it up because he stopped paying attention to me. Maya stopped coming to school. Her parents withdrew her. I didn't hear anything else until 3 months later, when a detective came to my house. He asked if I still had the messages. I said yes. He asked if I'd ever gone to his house. I said no. He nodded slowly and said, "Maya filed a police report. We're investigating multiple accounts." It turns out there had been others. Years before, students who'd moved, graduated, disappeared from town. He was arrested quietly at night. The school sent an email saying he'd resigned for personal reasons. Half the students didn't believe it. The other half didn't care. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. A year later, after graduation, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. It said, "You ruined an innocent man." Underneath, a photo, me sitting in the passenger seat of his car, rain on the window. The night he'd driven me home. Someone had been watching. Or he had kept everything. I took it to the police. They said it was probably just leftover evidence being mailed around, not to worry. But I couldn't stop worrying. 2 months later, a journalist emailed me. She was writing a story about abuse of power in education. She wanted to know if I'd go on record. I said no. I didn't want to relive it. She said fine, but she already had enough sources. The article came out a month later. It mentioned me by name anyway. Everything came back, rumors, online comments, messages saying I seduced him, that I liked it. My mom cried when she saw what people were posting. She begged me to move away, start over. So I did. College was supposed to be a clean slate, but stories travel. Someone always recognizes your face from somewhere. I kept my head down again like before. Then one day after class, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. It was a link to a private forum. A thread titled "Teacher Targeted." Hundreds of posts defending him, calling him a victim. And there, buried in the comments, was another message. She knows what really happened. The username was Maya Lives. I hadn't heard from her in 2 years. I wrote back. She replied within minutes. "Meet me," she said. Same lab. Friday. Midnight. I didn't go. I couldn't. The next morning, I read that she died. Car accident. Single vehicle. No witnesses. I never told anyone about that message. The police said it was a coincidence. But sometimes I dream that I went to the lab that night. In the dream, she's waiting, holding a flash drive, whispering. It never stopped. When I wake up, my phone's always dead. Every time. So here I am, years later, writing this under a throwaway account, asking strangers instead of friends, because friends either pity me or think I lied. Ada for coming forward, for believing her, for letting him drive me home that first night when I could have said no and none of this would have happened. Because even now, I still check the mail before I bring it inside. And sometimes when it rains, I see headlights slowing outside my window. Just waiting.